So, like, if Daredevil's gone, is the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, like, title up for grabs? Can we have that? Can we be the Daredevils?
We are.
Yeah. There's a lot of different Daredevil suits. I could have like the black suit with the red eyes, like what they did in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I think the Badlands comics. Which one do you want?
Well, I'm thinking he's dead now, so there's another vacancy. But I'm quite tall, so Stiltman. That was his tailor in the previous seasons of the show. I think I could go for that.
I know that the one dude had Stiltman's costume in the background.
Yeah.
Stiltman's not using that. Look, if we can't be Daredevil, all we have to do is get a tractor. And then we remove the wheel from that tractor. And then we get inside of that big wheel, and there we go. We're a Spider-Man villain. But, ladies,
Better than that Spider-Man villain. Easy costumes. I don't know if you follow David Tennant, Georgia Tennant on any social medias. But a couple days ago was World Book Day, so they posted like a picture of their kids with the faces blurred out, the pictures of the kids' costumes, and one of their kids went as the Wall, the Marvel Spider-Man villain.
the wall, the brick wall, dude?
The brick wall. You're never gonna climb me, Spider-Man.
I adore that. And I'm gonna follow David Tennant now if I'm not already. But, ladies and gentlemen, enough with the webhead. We've had enough with vigilantes and spider outfits.
Spider Menace.
It's time for us to talk about something so much more pure than Spider-Man. The devil. Specifically Daredevil. I really like this show so far. I don't know about you, but so far I'm kind of loving it.
Yeah, I thought off to a really strong start with this first three.
So, before we continue, spoilers ahead. We're going to be spoiling the fuck out of this show. Mostly because it literally starts with a huge spoiler, so it's kind of hard to talk about without diving into that.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the Netflix series, we'll be alluding to events in that, potentially spoiling those. But specifically, the first three episodes of Daredevil Born Again are. This is your big warning.
Yep, so here is the big spoiler. 3, 2, 1. Foggy's fucking dead, yo. They shot him.
Yeah, I know there's everyone online talking about various things in the comics of him faking his death, and all the number on this wall is the number of this issue, and you can read into that, sure. I will be happily surprised when he comes back and it's well justified. For now, yeah, that was a punch in the face. That hurt, man.
The thing I like about it is that it was Bullseye. Because, like, Daredevil and Bullseye have always had this thing. Like, obviously, Kingpin is the nemesis. But if he had a second archenemy, I think that would be Bullseye. So I think this version of Daredevil now has that relationship with Bullseye. Like, if he sees him on the street, he's always going to go after Dex. He's not going to leave the guy who killed Foggy out running around. They definitely have that hatred for each other now.
Yeah. Like, you think of the, 2003 Daredevil movie?
Mm-hmm.
It was Kingpin and Bullseye. Those are the two antagonists.
I
I really liked Dex in season 3 of the Netflix show, so bringing him back here, great. Having him in, again, the sort of opening prologue sequence. Great way to sort of bridge the gap of, what was it, 6 years? 8 years, something like that?
It's been a while.
Yikes. Bringing him in to be the one that does it, I like. It makes sense. I am curious who put him up to it, if anyone did. What was his... I want to know more of why he specifically targeted Foggy, beyond the connection to Matt. I don't know if we're going to get that, but I kind of want it.
So, for those of you who want a description, it is literally one of the first things that happens in the show. They're just hanging out, having this nice night. I remember I watched a bunch of interviews, and one of the creators of the show mentioned that they wanted this moment in the bar to feel like a nice hug, like a brief journey back into the Netflix show and these characters we love before they pull it away from us. And that's what it kind of felt like for me. They're just hanging out in the bar, chilling. Foggy is flirting with this character we're going to learn more about later. And, there's a little bit of setup. Like, I believe Sherry is at the bar, and he brings up White Tiger and how, like, vigilantes have kind of taken the place of cops in the Marvel Universe, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's like Sherry's retirement party or something like that, because they're talking about him retiring, hanging up his badge from on the force, because he sees these vigilantes going about doing their jobs better. And then we see him later in the show as more of a PI working for Matt. And then the party goes south pretty quick. I really liked. I think going into this show, the big things that I wanted from it were like, okay, let's get a Kingpin fight, let's have more. I want to know what's going to happen with him being mayor. But it's a follow-up to the Netflix show, so you've absolutely got to have a long one-take fight scene.
And they got it out of the way fast.
They brought in, again, these connections with Karen and Foggy and Bullseye, all in this first opening sequence. We got everything that I was, like, actively asking for. Except the Kingpin stuff, because that's the main plot of the show. But we got all that in one, and it was great. The one take wasn't as good as the previous ones. There was more CG and everything, and it wasn't perfect. But given all the reshoots and this opening sequence, we know, because they originally weren't going to bring back Karen and Foggy, absolutely was a reshoot. So they had less time to polish everything. That's fine. I don't mind.
I want to pose the question. But before we talk more about Bullseye, before we talk more about the show itself, since we're talking about Foggy's death, I want to pose this question. If they would have gone with the original plan of killing Foggy off screen, and I guess starting with episode 2, do you think that would have been a terrible, horrible, bad mistake, or do you think they could have bounced back from it?
I feel like if they'd done that, we'd spend a lot of that first episode wanting to know what happened. I think that would have been quite distracting. I think I'd compare it to the post-credit scene of the Marvels. If Kelsey Grammer's Beast show up.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So is this that X-Men universe? Oh no, because here's this. Okay, it does look slightly different. Okay, so that's not that. Okay. Or when we first got like a week apart, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in the Hawkeye show, and then Charlie Cox Daredevil in No Way Home.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So is Iron Fist and Luke Cage and Defender, and is this all canon? It was great having these moments and having these characters back. Love it, and love that we're getting this show. But it does bring up the question of, okay, what about this character? Where's this? What's happening? Which I'm glad they ultimately pivoted and said, okay, no, that show did all happen at least very similarly to how it happened.
Very happy about that. I have to say, from a meta standpoint, if they would have thrown out that legacy and all of that setup, I think that's just kind of dumb. Because, like, think about it. If you ever want to do Jessica Jones, there is now a version of Jessica Jones that exists in your world, and you can tell a different story with her if you want, but she's there, and she exists. Same with Luke Cage. It feels like and I know this is like oversimplifying things, but it feels like some of the homework is done if you just bring these characters in. Like, you don't have to do an origin story again. So the idea of just doing a separate Daredevil unconnected to that stuff, It honestly feels like a waste of story potential to me.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that is directly, like, contradictory or retconny about that. I mean, there's been no direct mention of Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, or Luke Cage anywhere else in the MCU yet, or Punisher prior to, again, this show. But those three specifically, the other Defenders, we have now had in, I think it was the first episode of this show, there's a poster for Luke Cage's nightclub. Cool. Okay, cool. So that building at least exists and has the same name, whether he's in charge of it or not, whether things are going to continue directly on from where his story left off, which I'm really disappointed we didn't get a season 3, 4, because that would have been
I loved
a very
Luke Cage.
different story for that third season.
And we know that Punisher's coming in, so it feels like they're mostly canon now, if not completely canon.
Yes. Like, none of those characters popped up in Daredevil, apart from Punisher. So what you could do, and I'll be very curious to see how James Gunn handles this with the DC stuff going forward, where, no, the events of his Suicide Squad happened, and the events of Peacemaker happened. But we're just going to ignore when the Justice League showed up at the end. No. We're ignoring that specific bit, that moment. No. Whether that was his new league, his new actors are just sort of meant to be mentally placed in those spots, or whether there was a good joke I saw online about, oh yeah, it was a big fight, John Cena smashed his head against things, maybe he just hallucinated those guys.
I actually would really like that.
Yeah, just make a joke out of it, that'd be funny. But here, yeah, they were very much like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time, made to connect to the MCU. We have mentions of everything going on in the wider MCU, specifically all post-Battle of New York stuff. So, yeah, no reason you couldn't. I think the only thing in my head is, people brought up at the time, the primary antagonist of the first season and a bit into the second season of Luke Cage, Mariah Dillard, I think is the name. That actress has also popped up in the MCU in a different role. The initial antagonist of Luke Cage was our new Blade. It's some actors doing multiple roles, but again, that's already happened within just the movies themselves. That's not an issue. Please just bring in Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. David Tennant, Purple Guy, I know he's dead, but come on.
MCU's weird.
Cage as well.
You can bring him back in the MCU. They'll find a way.
Iron Fist, I'm fine with you recasting.
You know who I'd be okay with coming back?
Right.
Colleen. Bring her back. She's got those Iron Fist abilities.
Absolutely. Granted, I do stand by the best moment of Iron Fist Season 2 was the last scene where he's like channeling the energy through pistols up in some nondescript third world country. I'm fine with us never seeing that Danny Rand again. We can just ignore that or recast him.
He's off in that other country. It's fine. He'll do stuff there, and then Secret Wars will happen, and then, oh hey, new Iron Fist.
I have to go. My planet needs me.
I honestly wouldn't be too upset if he comes back. I would like a different version of Iron Fist, if I'm being honest, but I also think they might just not do Danny Rand because there are so many different versions of Iron Fist. Like, it's a different Iron Fist in Marvel Rivals right now, so if that's anything to go by. But focusing a little bit more on the Daredevil show and the question of what would the difference be if Foggy died off screen? Us watching Foggy die, we know what Matt went through. Like, we saw him fight Bullseye and get all of those knives in him. We saw him listening to Foggy's heartbeat as he went. We now know where Matt stands with this and how much it broke him. Whereas, if the only mention of Foggy would have been that toast that him and Heather have in episode 2 or 3, that would have sucked. Like, if that was the only mention and it's like, cheers, and then he's never mentioned again. It was
If they
really
did
good to
that,
show.
I'd spend the rest of the season waiting for that flashback.
And then it would have
Show
never
us
came.
that. It would have been really unsatisfying.
I'm very glad they showed it, and boy howdy did they go all out with Bullseye, because I'm going to be honest, I don't hate the Affleck Daredevil movie. It's really cheesy, very, very cheesy, but I kind of like it, and I thought Kingpin was really cool in it.
Was that Michael Clark Duncan?
I believe so. And one of the cheesier parts of it for me was Bullseye. Because Colin Farrell's a great actor. I think there's a certain DC villain show that came out recently that is proof of that. But he's really, really goofy in that. Like, there's a point where he goes, Bullseye, ha! And then he points at his fucking head scar. Here, this guy barely says a thing, and he's just chucking knives at Daredevil, killing random people. He picked up, like, a soup can and killed somebody. He killed someone with groceries, man! Who does that?
But again, it takes me back to season 3. There's that great fight scene where he comes into... again, I'm just playing when we talk about it.
Go ahead.
Again, spoilers for the Netflix shows we've said. He comes into... it's not the Daily Bugle, but it's whatever newspaper office Karen's currently working at. Wearing the Daredevil suit, because the whole plot is he's like framing Daredevil for various things. And he comes in, and it's a fight scene where he's just murdering people with office supplies. With staplers, with pens, with pencils. Throwing them across the room into people's heads. It's terrifying. So I'm glad we continued that here. He kills someone with a pool ball at one point as well. Working his way up the stairs. Just killing so many bystanders. That I'm glad he is... It's Marvel. The prisons have a bit of a revolving door. But I'm glad he's in jail for now. And we're just gonna ignore the trailers that show he's coming back.
I remember seeing one scene where I'm like, they didn't show that Bullseye scene in this episode. All right, we're not done. And I was so excited. Because I feel like Dex wants Matt to believe that this was just something he did on his own, like he was upset about what happened in season 3 and wanted revenge. But I'm willing to bet you anything someone paid for that. I don't know if it was Daredevil. I don't know if it was Kingpin. I do think someone did, though.
Yeah, my expectation is not Kingpin, because they call that out. And he says, like, sit down in the diner. I kept my promise from the end of season 3 and didn't go after Karen and Foggy. And there's that kind of level of respect between the pair of them. But I buy that, because that was the deal, was you come after my people, I come after yours, and out Vanessa for having done all this criminal stuff. It will ruin her life, so they're Cold War, mutually assured destruction situation between the two of them there, so I doubt he did. But I don't know who else would have. Possibly Vanessa herself, I'm wondering, because she's, again, evidently been doing stuff behind his back in his absence.
I was thinking about that.
That opening scene would have taken place during.
So
that's my current guess, but I'm not sold on that.
Here's what I think about it being Vanessa. I think it absolutely makes sense that Vanessa would target Foggy and everybody, because she didn't make that deal. But here's the thing, and this is why I doubt it. Dex spent that entire episode and the later half of the season specifically trying to kill Vanessa.
Good point. Yeah.
So I don't know if Vanessa would seek out Dex specifically, although maybe she would, because it's like the one person no one would think she would go after, but she has like the tracksuits in her pocket. Maybe she could send them. I don't know. If I had to give a guess, just right off the cuff with everything we know, maybe it was Val, because we know that like she's doing stuff in New York. We know that she's trying to put together a team that is essentially going to be her Avengers. Maybe she wants there to be more crime in New York. Maybe she wants to get rid of Daredevil. Now, there is one big leap for this. How the hell would Val know who Daredevil is to target Foggy?
Sure.
And the only answer I can think of is maybe she had a meeting with Kingpin and Kingpin told her, but I don't know. We know they're working together because Kate Bishop's mom worked with Val. Kate Bishop's mom worked with Wilson Fisk. So we know there's at least a connection there, potentially.
Yeah.
She's my best guess for now.
I really hope that we get in the Thunderbolts asterisk. In that scene, there's some sort of benefit charity fundraiser thing with all these relics from the Battle of New York. It's presumably in the former Avengers Tower that's in New York. I really hope we get a little cameo of the mayor. That'd make a lot of sense.
That'd be
nice
awesome.
and easy. Just get Vincent in for one day of filming. You're good.
I heard.
I hope so.
I heard somewhere, since Sony has somewhat rights to Kingpin, it can be challenging to put him in the movies, but I'm really hoping they can figure it out, because I would love that if he appeared in Thunderbolts. Especially because there are some people saying that they might set up Norman Osborn in Thunderbolts, because back in the day, he used to have a big connection to that team. I don't know if that's true necessarily. I would love to see Norman come through in some way. I'd love, but I think right now our best chance of seeing Kingpin in a movie is probably one of the next Spider-Men.
Yeah. It was great in episode 1 to hear Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin say,
In a spider suit.
Spider costumes.
I just wanted him to follow that up with he's a menace, I swear! But,
the Bugle's already doing that, I'm sure. Some other billboard elsewhere in Times Square is already covering whatever the latest story is about Spider-Man saving puppies, but yet he's the one who put them there.
Spider-Man put a bunch of puppies in front of this train! Don't ask why I was there, next to these puppies! I certainly didn't do it. I think the last thing to talk about this introduction and this big Foggy death moment is what it drove Matt to do. Because, and first of all, this scene after the fight, to me, is just as engaging as the fight itself. Because, you hear the heartbeat stop, Foggy's dead, you see Karen's reaction, Daredevil's just screaming, why? And you're expecting, okay, Dex is gonna taunt him, he's gonna do something. He just taps him on the shoulder and starts laughing.
Yeah.
I'd throw him off the roof too. I'll be honest about that.
I love how the throw off the roof as well is just very, it's not like I'll pick you up and I'll throw you. It's just he's so exhausted from this fight. It's the last punch, it's the last hit. Is just to use his body weight to throw him off. I like how real that felt, and then just the wide shot of him then just hitting the ground. Karen's freezes and slowly turns to look, not knowing which of the two.
Yeah, she thinks it's Matt.
Behind her.
She thinks it's Matt.
I don't know which would have been the better answer for her. Had it been Matt, that's terrible, or Matt just tried to kill this guy.
Yeah, and she knows that now.
Either's positive, and I loved Deb Randall's reaction to that. I'm a little disappointed we haven't had too much of her in the rest of the show. Yeah, she's in the trailer still. There's at least 1 or 2 scenes still to come, but
I've heard that she's in 3 episodes this season.
okay.
Although, for the record, I also heard that about Foggy, so maybe it's not real.
Yeah. It definitely would have been, just from these first 3 episodes, a huge mistake to have released the version of this show prior to the reshoots that didn't have Foggy Karen. I think that had a different actress playing Vanessa as well. They kept the character but recast her.
That would have been such a huge mistake.
That would have, and I think we are still dealing with the consequences of that, and some of their scenes together being shot a little weird and edited a bit awkwardly, because clearly again reshoots.
Mm-hmm.
But the hobby video essayist of me, the people who enjoyed, the guy who enjoyed media analysis and like English class in school. You can read into how a lot of that shot, whether they're sitting on opposite ends of the sofa, showing the distance between them, and they're never showed in the same shot in this sequence, again, keeping them separated. It still works, I still like it. But I know the reasoning for it, and you do have to bear that in mind, unfortunately.
I do agree. The reshoots are somewhat visible, but I don't really view that as a complaint for myself. Because, like, as you brought up, you can kind of read into it, like, oh, they're not sharing shots together. That's actually kind of unique, because there's a shot in the trailer of them sharing, like, a toast with 2 drinks. So I'm wondering, okay, do they make up? How do they get to that point? Because they feel really broken right now.
Power of therapy, man.
But, damn, Heather's a good therapist. I'm sure that will grow so well for her with her new client that we saw teased in episode 2, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So, I think the thing I like most about this bullseye getting pushed off the roof is it isn't choreographed, like you were saying. Like, he doesn't lift him up. It's not like the music starts swelling. No, he just pushes him and he falls, and it's surprising because, like, I've been watching people react to this, and when me and my roommate watched it, we just went, oh shit, he did it! Oh shit! And then he hits the ground. It felt very real. And there was a point where my roommate went, oh, no way, he survived that. And I was like, please don't kill him until you have Bullseye fight Hawkeye. Please. That was so cool in the comics. Do it in live action. And then when he opened his eyes, I was like, yes! First time I cheered a murderer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we are getting like a Hawkeye season 2 or some sort of follow-up, so yeah. I could see him cross over into that. That works.
It's really cool because that thing Bullseye does with like how he kills people with staplers and stuff. Clint can do that too. Like in the comics, he's killed people with fingernails and coins. So like I'd love to see these two just tossing shit at each other. But I do think he survived because of his new spine, right? That he got in season 3?
Yeah, he gets an operation right at the end of season 3. I forget if it's a post-credit thing or like the last shot, but yeah, it's him on an operating table. And I think they do like a crash zoom on like his eye, and it's got the fucking logo with the like concentric rings.
I noticed he had the Bullseye logo on his gloves. They're getting closer.
I like that.
They're getting closer to the Bullseye suit. They're tiptoeing.
Yeah, I think that works really well. I think had he shown up here with like it on his mask or something, that immediately reads as, okay, there's a lot of like prep behind this. Like he's got like a villain costume. So no, you definitely need to build to that. I think possibly season 2 or later this season. Although if it was later this season, we probably would have seen it in a trailer by now. But season 2 of Born Again, yeah, someone got him out of jail for a reason and supplied him with some gear.
I would love to
That
see
sort of
that.
thing works, and I think that can be a chance to give him the bullseye on the head.
So, after this, the episode gets a little more disjointed. But we go a year later, another Marvel time jump, and we start getting introduced to the fact that, yes, Wilson Fisk has been gone for a little while. Vanessa is running the criminal underground, but he's going to straighten that all up because he's running for mayor. We see Matt's reaction to it. I believe he gets introduced to Heather in the first episode, right? Or is that the second episode? Okay.
That's the first episode, because after the time jump, we see Matt at the new law firm, Murdoch, and whatever his partner's last name is. I'm blanking.
It was on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot it too.
Murdoch and McDuffie. We see him working there, and she said, "Oh, I can't make this meeting. Can you go instead?" And she set him up for a date. And told her. I like that he sits down. Oh, what are you looking for in legal representation? And she pauses and goes, "Oh, I was told you were looking for therapy." And that kind of relatable story of a mutual friend trying to set you up with someone. That's funny. I don't like the jokes they make later in the episode of, this is really bad. I really hate when she's right.
I really like that at first Matt kind of leaves a bad impression, but then he saves it.
Yeah.
You gotta remind the viewers that Matt can just not keep it in his pants for the life of him.
No. He's also exceptionally good at failing uphill, Matt.
Oh yeah. Foggy died, and then somehow he got a better law firm.
No, he didn't. No, it hurts every time with the opening to see that Nelson Murdoch and Page sign crack and fall apart.
Maybe in a few seasons we'll get a Nelson, Murdoch, Page, and McDuffie one. And maybe put Fisk on there too. Why not? They'll be friends by the end. That's the big twist. Oh my gosh.
What's Hogarth up to right now? I forget if she's still practicing.
She's hanging out with Jessica. We'll wait for Jessica to get a cameo. Then we'll just we'll bring in She-Hulk. We'll just get all the Marvel lawyers to work together.
Yeah, that's what I'd really like. Similar to how we brought in Matt in Spider-Man and Fisk and Hawkeye. It's like bring in a character that implies the existence of that show. Yeah, just again, just show us a scene in a courtroom where it's Matt versus Jerry. Just Hogarth. Yeah, there we go. Like, okay, boom, that's Jessica Jones's lawyer friend. Okay, cool. This is all a thing. But that's wishful thinking. Like this show. Yeah, I like the new intro. I don't like it as much as the Netflix one. I do like the contrast of it though, whereas the Netflix one was all the bloods and the rain. It was very wet looking, everything pouring over all these statues and over New York. Whereas here, it's like, some time has passed. It's all dried out and brittle and falling apart. But then from the destruction rises the Daredevil. Okay, cool. Give us more in this season to build to that being a cool thing rather than just the visual of the statue. But I like the idea of this intro. I don't love it as it stands yet.
I love the Kingpin parts of it. Like, I love the giant-ass statue of Kingpin from the back and his fists.
Just the wide shoulders. But yeah, post-time skip. Getting to see what Matt's up to now. I liked all that. Seeing Bullseye getting the result of that trial. I like how Matt just shakes so
in anger
when it sure is the verdict that we wanted, but he's still angry about what happened. And you remember he threw him off a building. He wanted worse for this guy.
Yeah, my friend just looked to me and went, "Oh shit, he wants him dead." And I think that's what everybody can glean from that scene. Like, he got the verdict he needed. He's going to jail. Matt's still pissed. And I think that shows that legitimately Matt did cross a line that day, and he might still be there a little bit, because I am noticing, even by the Netflix standards, some of his most recent fight scenes are brutal. Like, so much blood.
Yeah, they're very bloody, which I don't necessarily remember Matt doing a lot of in the Netflix show.
There were people who debated whether or not he killed those cops, and I was like, guys.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Guys, if he didn't kill Bullseye, he didn't kill the cops.
You know, what I'm looking forward to, again, with this Bullseye thing, and Matt being in this darker place and having now tried to kill a villain, an evildoer, I'm looking forward to the inevitable meeting with Frank later this season. Because of everything discussed back in season 2 of you beat them, they get locked up, they're back on the street, I beat them, they don't get back up. So I'd like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about this moment where Matt went too far and present him with a guy who just does that on the regular. That is his line. His line is way lower than yours.
And
I think where episode 3 left off, that gives us a pretty clear progression of how we're going to meet Frank.
I do think Frank, if not showing up in the next episode, is about to show up. But
Yeah, he's either going to be main thing next episode or like the end of next episode. It'll be Frank Castle, the Punisher.
but
Tune in for episode 5.
to talk a little bit more about Marvel's future, just because this is a Marvel project, and hey, one of the selling points is it's in the MCU. We're gonna have MCU characters cameoing in this later, like Miss Marvel's dad. Everyone loves him.
Yes, genuinely, yes.
I mean, the swordsman from Hawkeye is also coming in, so I'm excited to see that shit. But my question is, I wonder if this is a little bit of setup for future Spider-Man stuff, because obviously Daredevil is currently coming to terms with that rage, that anger, and we all know that that black suit is getting on Tom Holland in one of these Avengers movies. We could see Daredevil literally being the angel on black suit Spider-Man's shoulder.
Yeah, no, I like the idea. And they've sort of, in each of the Spider-Man films, kind of paired him up with another leading Marvel male character. We had Tony in the first one, we had Nick Fury in the second, and then
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange in the third. So yeah, no, let's get that Spider-Man and Daredevil team-up movie. Let's do that, and I think having Daredevil, Matt Murdock, in that sort of position with Spider-Man, them sort of helping him through that, I think that's a good idea. I want to see that moment of him pushing Daredevil away, like striking out on his own, and then Daredevil ultimately coming back to help in the climax or whatever. Yeah, no, I'm just really glad specific. It'd be cool in, say, a Spider-Man 4, a Daredevil showed up. It wasn't, Charlie Cox's. It's like, okay, here's just Daredevil, and here's this character. Sure, I'd be excited, but I am infinitely more excited that it is Charlie Cox, that it is Vincent D'Onofrio, that it is Deb Brown-Wool, that it is John Bernthal, that it's all these characters that I've already built this attachment to, and are just fantastic in the role. Again, we were talking earlier about the other Defenders. Like, yeah, no, I want Kirsten Ritter back. I want
Mike Coulter? Mike Coulter?
Yes, back as Luke. Because they were all great. I get Finn Jones. I can leave him. He's great. Like, he's good in other stuff. He was in an episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures. That's one of my favorite episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures. But he wasn't a great Danny Rand.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I would like it. If you want to say Danny Rand still exists, because I think he should. If the Netflix shows are canon, he should exist. Just bring in another Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Or, of course, Secret Wars.
Yeah, I think you could either another Iron Fist. You could do Colleen instead, like she could just be the Iron Fist. That's fine.
That'd be my pick.
With that, 'cause she was really good. My hope, what I prefer, just because in my head, I'm like, I really want this. We never got like a Heroes for Hire proper team up of Luke Cage and Danny. So my hope would be, we get Daredevil Born Again. We get a new Jessica Jones with a subtitle. And rather than doing a Luke Cage or Iron Fist show,
Heroes for
put it
Hire.
together, Heroes for Hire, and just, okay, the Iron Fist show still happened. Because it so heavily ties into Defenders and Daredevil Season 2. But it was this different guy. It was a different guy who's actually good at martial arts and actually did all his stunt training. It was a different actor the whole time. Variants, it's a multiverse. It's fine.
I could see it. And we know...
That's my hope.
Well, I think it's got to be a separate video where we talk about this potential, Avengers Secret Wars soft reboot that everybody's talking about. My hope is that the MCU remains because, again, you've already done so much homework. Don't restart completely. But I will say you brought up someone that I think we need to discuss in detail now. And if we don't, he's going to mash our heads in a car door until we are dead and gone. And that is Vinny D'Onofrio.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's really weird that David Tennant's in this show and he's just wearing a Vincent D'Onofrio suit. So I'm gonna say this. I think Charlie Cox is perfect as Daredevil, but I do see a world where you could recast him. Do I want you to recast him? Fuck no. I love this version. Keep it in the MCU. I see a world where you could. I don't think there is anyone else that could play Kingpin than Vincent D'Onofrio at this point. Like, he looks perfect. He's so huge. And every scene he's in, he gives this incredible delivery of his lines that just scares the hell out of me. The way he speaks is intimidating. Everything...
It draws you in.
It's perfect. It's literally like a perfect version of this character that is so engaging. Which is why I'm so happy they didn't get rid of Vanessa. Because I feel like if they did replace her, a lot of that chemistry we see and his, like, devotion to her wouldn't feel as strong. Like, when he makes that promise in episode 1, which, by the way, we find out, Kingpin is having some serious marital issues because his wife cheated on him with a guy named Adam. Probably not Adam Warlock. But could be. Could be. Will Poulter could show up. You don't know. But...
Black Mirror, though.
That's true as well. I just love how he delivers these lines. I love that he's trying to be... It feels like this is the closest to going straight that Kingpin's ever gonna get. Like... Yeah. He still wants power. He's found a way to still get power, but now it's kind of like, okay, he's not really breaking the law. He is still doing his Kingpin thing. He's still holding people for ransom. He's still extorting people, but he's definitely trying a different approach. And I think that's why Matt isn't immediately just like, I gotta Daredevil up and go after him. He's like, okay, you're trying, I see what you're doing. I don't like it, but it's not illegal, so I guess we'll see where it goes.
It's their discussion in that diner of, yeah, I was raised to believe in that people can change and in redemption and all that. But also, if you step out of line, I will be there.
And I love that Kingpin just isn't faced after
his response of, yeah. And if you break the law running around as a vigilante, I'm going to bring the full force down of the New York legal system upon you.
And the fact that Matt is just like, I guess we do really understand each other. And they kind of do.
Yeah.
I love a man who can rise above his nature. Just such a good line.
Yeah. Followed by, let's see if you can do it. Let's see.
Oh, and by the way, did you notice in the background of that scene?
I saw the YouTube thumbnails, a big red circle. Oh, there's someone stood perfectly framed in the middle, across the road.
Mm-hmm. Which
could very well just be some guy, but maybe.
Here's the thing.
Doing whatever Banksy shit in the background.
People think it's Muse. I don't think it's Muse. Here's the thing. I have a whole conspiracy, because I noticed one thing that I don't see anyone bringing up. That guy takes the picture on his phone. Right as Kingpin puts his finger on the desk. Like, Kingpin puts his hand in the air, he lowers it, puts his finger on the desk, and right as he does, the photo goes off. Part of me wonders, did Kingpin somehow set that up? Because Buck was there when he left to go with Matt. So I was like, oh, maybe he had a second where he turned to Buck and went, get someone to go take a picture of this. And I don't know why that would happen, but I can't help but notice that his hand hits the desk right as the picture's getting taken. So that's either a hell of a coincidence, or maybe it's a subtle clue. Who knows?
Yeah.
Guess we'll know soon.
Doing some shadier stuff on the down low for them. I know he's again becomes a villain in the comics. So maybe. Yeah.
I don't even know if it was Muse. It could have been, but I don't know for sure.
That was the YouTube thumbnails that I saw. I was like, oh, could be, just because we got that double drop with that scene of the character who's probably Muse, just because there's a show in the UK. I don't know if it's spread especially far beyond that, called Death in Paradise, where it's about a British detective who's been sent and is now working on some tropical islands and solving murder mysteries there. And in that show, I remember watching that growing up. My mom always said, "It's that person did it." Next episode, "Oh, that person did it. That person did it." How do you know? It's because they're the most famous person in the show. They're the most famous person in this episode that's just popped up out of nowhere. They're a big actor. They wanted a juicy role. This is their cameo. This is their incentive. So that guy, the only actor I know in this show who wasn't in the previous Daredevil seasons, is Hunter Dugan, is his last name, from Wednesday. And he was Surprise, kind of the main antagonist to that show. So here's here's this actor that I know for being Surprise, a bad guy. Yeah, he's my guess for who Muse is. Looking at trailer shots, could that be his eyes? Maybe.
Specifically, that one scene with Heather, I feel like almost confirms it.
Yeah, when he comes out saying, which I like. I'm very curious for this character to come out to a therapist and be, "Oh no, I need help. Please, I'm worried what I might do. I need help." That's immediately really interesting.
Makes you wonder what's going on with him.
Yeah, because as opposed to a character who, okay, what I do is my coping method. This is a character who's afraid of his coping method doesn't work. So, I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm almost a little disappointed that we haven't gotten much Muse stuff in the first 3 episodes. But don't tease it out. We need to cover all this stuff and pay off things from previous seasons. And I've enjoyed these first 3. We'll get into the White Tiger stuff. Oh my god, was that good!
Jesus.
But now that we've done that, I want us to do this stuff with Muse because I like artsy stuff. I live in Bristol. This is Banksy's home turf. New stuff pops up all the time.
Well, I have a bit of a theory about the release schedule, but we'll get into that when we talk about episode 3.
Yeah. So I want to see what we're going to do with all the Muse stuff. I'm very here for it.
All I gotta say is, every time Kingpin is on screen, I'm in. And my big request is, alright, it's been 4 episodes. We've seen Daredevil fight a couple times. It's time. Let Kingpin fuck someone up. And in the interviews, I want to tell you this, Jack, because I'm so excited for it. In the interviews, frickin' Vincent D'Onofrio was like, yeah, there was one scene specifically with my character. I'm so surprised Disney let us do it. And then I listened to a no-spoiler review, and this guy said, there's this one scene in the show that's so crazy, horror movies don't do this shit. I'm so surprised Disney did it. And I'm just sitting here like, it's the same scene. It's got to be the Kingpin scene. What the hell did he do? Who did he do it to?
I mean, he's been showing up with sort of bloody knuckles the last couple episodes.
I have a theory about that too. That involves.
Is he taking out some anger on Adam? Is he punching a wall? What's he doing to get out his anger right now? And what's he gonna do when that stops working?
And now that he got pretty pissed when Daredevil got White Tiger off. So here's the real question: how's he gonna feel when Daredevil's just back?
Oh yeah. How is Matt gonna go about this? Hoping not to be seen doing his vigilante work. As soon as someone catches a glimpse, they're gonna tell the paper. It's gonna be printed. The Devil of Hell's Kitchen is back.
It's gonna be all over the Bugle. We're not gonna see the Bugle because of right issues, but it's gonna be all over the Bugle. Oh, so one more thing I want to talk about before we jump into the next episode, because there are a couple more shots left to talk about. But one of my favorite things about this show, BB Urich and how they have chosen to implement her.
Good, yes.
We'll be talking.
I've seen mixed responses to this, and I'm firmly on the. I love these people.
I adore this, dude. It reminds me of the Raimi Spider-Man shit. Like,
yeah.
They are literally showing people on New York just giving opinions on, this is how I feel about White Tiger. This is how I feel about Kingpin. And it's so interesting to watch because they're random people. Sometimes they feel very real. We're getting more of the Marvel Universe. But, like, I wonder if this is going to start tying in a little more later. Like, what if we start seeing interviews with characters we know? What if Karen shows up in one of these? What if we see, like, maybe Sherry could be in one. I think as BB gets closer to the truth of what happened to Ben Ulrich, which if you've seen the other seasons of Daredevil, you know what happened to Ben. I think she's gonna turn and start using this to go against Fisk. Because when Fisk had the opportunity to call someone in, he chose BB. And I think that's significant. That means she has a bit of sway.
Yeah. I think it's also like a political move where I don't know how old Fisk is meant to be in the show, but like Vincent D'Onofrio is mid-60s. Yeah. Let's have a social media influencer kind of on our side here, who can tell our side of the story. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, and I do like the sort of intermediary younger guy in Fisk's sort of mayoral team, as well as sort of contact for BB.
That guy kind of annoys me, actually, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see him do something that's gonna upset Kingpin. I'm waiting for him to fall from grace a bit.
You think he's gonna be our "you embarrassed me in front of Vanessa" moment?
Maybe. I don't know. Because he's not the sort of guy that the Kingpin we've known from the previous seasons would really give the time of day. So I think he currently sees the value in him. And I like that scene when they're talking and he sort of butts in and suggests something, and Kingpin's like, who is this guy? I kind of like him. He can stick around.
I've heard people comparing him to Wesley, but I gotta be honest, I think if anyone in this show is like Wesley, it's Buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, by the way...
I don't think Fisk is looking for a new Wesley. But you can make the comparison.
I'm excited to see where Buck goes, too, because, like, I can tell they're doing something with him, because he showed up to Heather's book signing, and I was like, why are you here? Why did you come to this?
He was there finding this therapist for the mayor.
Oh, that could be it.
I think that's the connection there.
I thought he was just into her.
Here's this well-known one who's established and publishing books and everything. She can be trusted, signing confidentiality and all that.
So, do you think, just to talk about Heather just a little bit more, do you think that it is going to be that Kingpin already knows that Heather is dating Matt, or do you think that's going to be a reveal later? We're tiptoeing into episode 2 here, but I want to have this discussion.
I mean, Matt definitely doesn't know. Definitely doesn't.
Oh, he would not be happy if he knew.
Yeah. I think he's going to know. That's definitely gonna happen. I think if Fisk doesn't currently know, he's definitely gonna find out before Matt does.
So I have a slight conspiracy theory about this. I think, and I don't actually think this is going to happen, but I think it's possible that maybe Kingpin gives Heather some personal information about him and Vanessa's relationship. Maybe he tells her about Adam. And then, maybe, because we know that there's a certain character that might be Muse, that might be reaching out to Heather, maybe he finds out that Heather is Kingpin's therapist and kidnaps her specifically to get information about Kingpin. If this happens, we could have a very rare scenario where Kingpin needs to get Heather away from Muse, and Daredevil also needs to get Heather away from Muse. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe they could team up for this one. Maybe they could team up and take down Muse.
That could be interesting, yeah.
I'd love to see it.
I think Muse is very much going to be this sort of rogue element that neither Matt nor Fisk especially likes being there, and is going to throw a few wrenches into a few plans. That said, Muse is not a character I am at all familiar with the comics. I've deliberately avoided.
I know nothing either.
When they popped up in the trailer last year, I deliberately avoided all the. Oh, who is this new character? Here's their comic book history. I'm deliberately pretty blind on this guy.
I won't tell you anything then. The only thing I know about Muse is his preferred method of murder, and that is all I know about him.
I don't know that, but I know that the...
You will soon.
That's one of the ways he gets his materials.
Yeah, well, just wait until we see it in action.
Yeah.
But,
again, looking forward to all the Muse stuff. Episode 1, yeah, great. I love... They haven't done as much in the latter episodes, but for an introduction, I love how they show the audience a lot of Matt's sensory abilities. Again, like the aspect ratio change to like this triple wide-angle lens.
I do...
Focusing in on Foggy, that was great. Again, listening to the heartbeat, hearing Fisk's mayoral announcement on someone else's TV somewhere else in the building before he tunes in.
They're focusing on his powers so much more.
That was all great.
His powers are getting a lot more focus, but I think my favorite shot, and I don't think I would have picked up on this if I hadn't watched with my roommate, Skylar Schaefer praising him a lot in this. He's a big Daredevil guy. So there is a shot at the end. It's right after Kingpin wins the election. People are celebrating in the street. Matt has taken Heather home. And it's a shot where Kingpin is looking down. It's right after the Atom stuff. He's looking down and he's casted in a white light. My friend went, oh, he sees himself as a guardian angel looking down on high towards his subjects. And the devil is looking right back up at him.
Cast in red light, yes.
And it's such a cool fucking scene. It's the perfect way to end the episode. And they made it the poster. It's literally the image that's below you and me right now, Jack. It's such a cool shot. Yeah, you're on the Daredevil side. I'm on the Kingpin side. I get to be the crime boss who had his wife cheat on him and, got shot in the face. And, you get to be a very successful lawyer.
I don't have anything red to wear.
I have a white blanket here. I can just, this works. And my white headset. I'm Neil Pin, bitches. But yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end the first episode. And I do think if this whole episode was a reshoot, like if this whole episode was made from the ground up, good thing you did it, because we just spent almost an hour talking about this one episode, and I feel like there's still stuff to discuss.
Oh yeah, we also went on tangents and went way off course. But yeah, generally, really strong opening episode. I do think possibly the weakest of the three, though.
Really?
Yeah. I think. Well, this or two. No, this actually. I really liked 2, and I really liked 3.
I think... let me think about this. I think for me, 2 is probably the lowest in my opinion. Now, that being said, before anyone jumps on me here, 2 is fucking great. Every single episode so far is better than Secret Invasion. I would even dare to say that I think so far it's better than at least the early episodes of Agatha all along. I've heard Agatha's doing better than this show currently, but it's still early. We can see where it ends. But episode 2, this is when we start getting into the White Tiger storyline. And I do really like it. I love White Tiger as a character. I'm more familiar with his little sister and niece. I'm more familiar with the second White Tiger. But Hector in this show wins me over so fast. Like, he's just walking down the subway, sees a guy getting jumped, wants to help. Cool guy. Accidentally kills a cop with a train. Didn't even know they were cops because they were wearing masks themselves. They didn't have their badges out. But Hector ends up getting beat up by the cops. Matt hears it happening, stumbles in, becomes his lawyer, starts defending him, and the rest of the episode is all about this impossible case. Can we solve it? He gets McDuffie on it, he gets Sherry on it, and I think we need to dive into that immediately, because there's also some stuff Fisk that is getting up to, but White Tiger is a character. And by the way, we're full on talking about spoilers. I know we warned a couple times. There's no coming back now. There's no coming back now. White Tiger's storyline so far feels a bit short, but God, if it isn't well done. Like, it's very interesting that in these early episodes, Matt is in a position where he has to defend this guy that is currently everything he was. Like, this guy is essentially being compared to Daredevil in a lot of these scenes. Like, he's this vigilante out there roughing people up. He's doing it for the right reasons. He's saving people. And as we find out in episode 3, that had a big effect on people that ends up saving his ass later. Well, temporarily saving his ass. That might be a very dark joke to make right now, but I am on the Kingpin side of things, so I guess that's okay. I think that Hector does a lot with a little. Every scene he's in, he gives you some information about who he is. He gives you some info about why he became White Tiger. And most importantly, and maybe even most tragically for his character, by the end, you understand exactly why, even though by all accounts, he shouldn't have gone out there again. He did it anyways. Because it was the right thing to do. And I kind of fucking love that.
Yeah. If you hadn't said that, I was gonna say it. Yep. Again, similarly, I'm rather familiar with White Tiger, but not this iteration. Again, Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, cartoon. That was the first place I met White Tiger. That was the first place I met Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Was all in that cartoon.
I knew of them, but it was the first time I saw their personalities.
Yeah. So when I heard, oh, White Tiger's in the show, and I saw the trailer and I went, that's not White Tiger. No, this is White Tiger. Fuck, do I have respect for this character now? We have to mention it, of course. Kamar de los Reyes, the actor, has passed away back in 2023 from cancer. So it's a shame that we're not going to get any more of him. But from the story structure, we weren't going to get any more of him anyway, which is kind of just doubly sad. Because he's done a fantastic job, and
incredible.
I like to think wherever they are now that they see how well this character has resonated with people. And the effect is, again, go watch reaction videos. The how much people loved and were rooting for this character, and how horrified they are by their ending. I do very much look forward to just some hint of his sister, his niece, another character picking up the mantle.
We never saw what happened.
This is going to be like, it's not the first in the MCU because we've specifically had it recently with Sam Wilson, Captain America, but this is the one I'm most invested in as a legacy hero in the MCU now, because I liked Steve Rogers, I like Sam Wilson. Here, fuck, man.
It hurts.
White Tiger, Hector Ayala, to a lot of the people of New York, if that jury is anything to go by, has become this symbol that means something. So there's going to be some burden to that, to the next person to pick up that amulet. But I want to see someone pushed to continue that legacy.
And his sister and his niece were both at that trial and both heard him say out loud, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then later that night, he probably died. So I really wonder what they're going to do with the next White Tiger. I'm very intrigued. I I do have to say, they did a perfect job of making me love this guy. They
Yeah.
really did.
And the crazy thing is as well because this is episode 3. I saw none of that. Like retroactively, I can look at that opening scene of this episode when he's talking about the frogs. That's huge death flags for the character. But in the episode, no, I was expecting, in like the climax of this season, Daredevil will be in some fight and he's getting beaten down, or there's too many henchmen or whatever, and White Tiger comes in and joins the fight.
It's not gonna
Because
happen.
we helped him. It's like a video game. It's like, oh, you helped this NPC before, well, now they're here to help you. I was really looking forward to that. Or just more references to White Tiger down the line in the MCU, like we got with Kingpin mentioning that and Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, let's just flesh out these other heroes existing, like X-Men 97, showing all these other 90s animated Marvel characters just off doing their own things at the same time. This world already has a lot of superpowered people. When the X-Men come in, dear God, that's gonna go off the chart.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, let's show more of this idea that Cherry put forward, of people putting more faith in these vigilantes at the moment than the police. And we're getting kind of an argument in favor of that from this show at the moment. And yeah, I can't wait to dig into all this Frank Castle Punisher stuff that they're teeing up here. That I'm amazed they're doing. There's something to come. You were saying that actors and critics have alluded to of something big. That, oh my God, I can't believe Disney did this. I kind of can't believe they're doing everything they're doing with these Punisher police officers at the moment.
I mean, you are right.
I'm really here for it though. I can't wait.
And it's mirroring. Have you heard about how this mirrors real life?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I am.
No, the moment they showed that cop had a Punisher tattoo, I started a double take. I'm like, oh, are we gonna do this in this show? Okay.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna get Frank Castle's opinion on all that, and if you've seen the comics, you might have a bit of an idea of what he might be about to say.
Yeah. He had some opinions in his own show, but no, let's make this very explicit for those real life individuals walking around with similar Punisher tattoos and decals on their cars and yeah. It's not good. A lot of them, I imagine, aren't gonna want to hear it, but yeah. Let's do it anyway to teach everyone else.
So we're kind of grouping in episode 2 and episode 3 a little bit because these are the White Tiger episodes. Like this is the White Tiger arc of the show probably, and I do think it's going to have a lot of effects on that going forward. But one thing I wanted to bring up, because we've been talking about Ava Ayala a little bit and how she could become White Tiger one day. After the very it was honestly really surprising because I thought White Tiger might die. I didn't think it was going to be right then. Like, I thought he was going to walk out and then it was going to fade to black. And then suddenly, bam, he's just down. That guy, that's not the Punisher, first of all, for anyone who's thinking it. That is clearly a cop dressed as the Punisher. He didn't pick up the amulet. He didn't pick up the White Tiger amulet. So that's still there. Either A, some random person's going to find that. B, it's going to end up in police custody. Or D, I think Matt might get his hands on it and deliver it to his family.
I could see that. I think my guess is, yeah, I guess collected with his body and the rest of his things, and then delivered to next of kin just through the system. But on the amulet, no, I've loved how this show is, and everyone's just acceptance of, because again, this is a pre-Endgame, pre-Blip, pre-Avengers world. It's like, Your Honor, my client didn't have his magical amulet. Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. Why would he go into this fight without his magical amulet? It's like going into a fight with an arm tied behind your back and just the jury. Yeah, no, that makes, yeah.
That's the shit I love about the MCU. Like, that can be presented in court, and everyone's like, oh yeah, the magical amulet. He left it at home. Why would he do that?
Yeah, it's not to the same extent, but it's that moment in the Peacemaker TV show when uh, one of the characters, I forget their name, Economos, is like talks, and mentions Batmite, and the Peacemaker just goes, Batmite? Who's Batmite? Oh, he's a fourth dimensional being who's a Batman stan, and it's like, okay, moving on.
Just gonna casually canonize Batmite and then move on with our day.
Batmite is presumably canon in the new DCEU, woohoo, or whatever we're calling it.
Oh,
But yeah, just in this world, yes. People saw the moon whizzing across the sky a couple years ago, and kaiju fighting in Egypt, and there's the raft, there's the Tiamets, we're getting vibranium now. Like, people are not desensitized, but it's like, 20 years ago, back in 2000, well, even 2000 for a more recent example. But yeah, like this smartphone would blow people's minds.
oh yeah.
Just the storage capacity, and now it's just commonplace. So no, I like this is a world with superheroes. It's not just our world anymore. Acknowledge that. It's one of the things I loved Doctor Who did in the original Russell T Davies era. Yeah, we jumped forward a year. We sort of jumped forward a bit into the future, so it's still a recognizable London, present-day world. But it's a world that's had a spaceship crash into Big Ben, has had multiple alien invasions, and people people know that now. People don't go out on the streets on Christmas because it's dangerous to go out on Christmas. Yeah, in this world, let's have more of that. Like the TV shows have done a lot of that, which I'm really enjoying.
And I think what I really like about this show, and you know what, this does tie into like the Spider-Man reference too, because like it does feel more like a Marvel show to me now, because back then it was all about Daredevil and I was loving it. Like the first season of Daredevil is some of the best stuff that Marvel has ever put out. Just how these different crime families are interacting with each other, and it slowly starts to crumble, and Daredevil's in the middle of all of it, but Fisk is trying to keep control, and it starts to get out of hand for him. It's just so interesting to watch. But in this show, and honestly, I can't tell you which one I prefer yet. I think I'd have to wait till the end of Born Again to make a choice on that. But I do love all of the style, like the BB News moments, and how Daredevil in this, he's in the MCU. We can have a casual reference to Spider-Man. We can't say Spider-Man's name directly because of rights issues, but like, yeah, Kingpin knows Spider-Man exists. And that just gets me excited. This is how the MCU can be an effective storytelling tool, because if you set these things up, Kingpin now knows he exists. If they're in a movie together now, I can't wait to see Tom Holland have a scene with this heartless guy. Like, Tom Holland really has become, Peter Parker has always kind of been the heart of the Marvel Universe, and the guy who's always trying to see the good in people. In No Way Home, he's reforming villains instead of killing them. What is he going to do in the black suit when dealing with someone as heartless and soulless who will just kill your family to get his way, like Kingpin? I need that story. Marvel, don't fuck us on the. In fact, let me rephrase that. Sony, don't fuck us on this. Just let this happen. I don't care how you have to do it. Just make it happen.
Yeah, no, I like Matt's new legal team. I'm liking his new girlfriend, of course. I love Karen. I love Deborah Ann Wool. I wish she was in more of the show. But I'm sure when we get into sort of season 2 stuff, well, a lot of the issues I have of it not meshing as well with the previous show will be resolved. Because we made this show, we reshot it when we realized we made some mistakes. We're going to continue on having corrected those mistakes in future seasons. Can't wait. this season by itself, though, again, I'm just from the first 3 episodes, I'm really enjoying it. More in episode 2, the Fisk stuff. I really like the scene with the pothole. Well,
Oh,
it's a
I
bit more than
did
the pothole.
love that. He just
Yeah,
got
he just gets
fed
out of
up.
the car and it's like, I promised you change and that I'd fix things, and here we go.
It's not rocket science.
No.
I,
I
I
like
d-
that. Like, genuinely, I don't think I would have. I mean, I don't know who he was running against, but I don't think I would have voted for Fisk initially. But if this is the stuff he's doing, yeah, I might vote for him next time. If he keeps this up.
he's definitely trying to keep the voters and people happy. Like I think him appeasing the cops is of course a very big plot point in this episode. But I wanted to ask you because this certainly took me by surprise. Did you expect that Kingpin would be willing to go to couples therapy?
No. It wasn't something. No, it wasn't even something I was expecting.
Wasn't on my radar at
The
all.
moment, but the moment it's, that we get that scene, it's like, oh yes, and Pat's dating a therapist. Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. That's how you sort of continue to weave these together.
I'm
Which I
really.
guess we wouldn't get if he was still dating Karen. Yeah, yeah.
I think the thing that's interesting is Kingpin has a character, and you can tell this from like the first season of Daredevil. He's literally avoiding the limelight. Like he doesn't want to be in the public eye. Then he's kind of put in a position where he has to be. So Kingpin is not a fan of like being super public with his business and his dealings. He now has someone that he has to tell his problems to in the hopes that it will help save his relationship with Vanessa. And that's such an interesting position to put Kingpin in because the only thing he cares about is Vanessa. So he probably is going to give out a lot of information to Heather. Because as he says it in this episode, Vanessa's like, I'm here because I feel like we need to be. Fucking Kingpin just looks at her and says, I'm here because I don't want to lose my wife.
Yeah.
It's those human moments from him that make it even scarier when he goes full monster.
Yeah. I'm curious how vulnerable he's gonna get with the therapist. Again, we've seen they're both rather cagey, but as the episodes have gone on, okay, I've started talking a little more. They still argue when she's not in the room, but we've started to talk a little bit more. I wonder. I don't think they're going to divulge much criminal dealings to her, but I think we could get into sort of, and it's a stereotypical sort of therapist question of tell me about your childhood. Well, we got allusions to his dad in episode 2 of, or episode 1. No, episode 2. Oh, my dad didn't respect any sort of politicians or anything like that. No, he liked that one mayor who has an airport named LaGuardia. That's it. He liked this guy, and now in the backstory in season 1, we know that his dad was running for some local position in government in New York. And it didn't go well, and that night he came home, it did not go well for him. And now Fisk has sort of risen above his father, become someone that he thinks his dad would have respected. So I think tapping back into that with Heather makes a lot of sense. I think we know from the trailers the painting, the White Rabbit in a snowstorm, is going to get some prominent placing in at least a room for a couple scenes. And that, again, ties a lot into his childhood with staring at that white wall while his dad beat his mother. Staring at that white wall after he's killed his dad with a hammer. Staring at this painting that really hits him. And that was the connection with Vanessa initially. Staring at his prison cell wall. And now we're bringing back this painting. We've alluded to his dad. I think that's something that may come up, and I'd enjoy that as something that I think you can talk about for the new audience. Because there are absolutely people watching this show who did not watch that previous 3 seasons, that previous show. It's a separate show.
Yeah.
That's something you can talk about for them that I think is needed to appreciate that painting. now splattered with his own blood from the end of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also something that I, as an audience member who did watch that previous show, I would look forward to him to hearing him talk about more. That's ground that I think you should retread. That I want you to retread.
It's literally his origin. Like, you should be bringing that shit up just about as much as a Spider-Man comic brings up Uncle Ben. Like, it's literally what defined Kingpin going forward.
On a similar note to that idea of it being an origin story, I don't think that they have, and I don't think they will, sort of bring up Matt's origin story. I think
Kind of doubt it. I
you
mean,
don't need to.
I
Well, you
have.
can talk about his dad. I think you should. Yeah, that's an idea. If we're gonna do some Kingpin origin story stuff and bringing that up, and with his therapist, and again painting walls, everything. Yeah, talk about each of their fathers. Battling Jack Murdoch. Let's bring that up a bit. I could see that. Though again, don't date your therapist. She's your girlfriend, not your therapist, or she's your therapist, not your girlfriend. She cannot be both.
I think that there is potential for one cameo, potentially a character from season 3, because they kind of set it up. There's a shot where Matt is outside of a church and he just doesn't go in.
Yeah. Good
What
point.
if we get a couple different shots of Matt outside of a church and outside of a shirt? I said by accident. What if Matt's shirtless and
I'm
standing
sure we'll get
outside of a
that.
church?
Matt can't keep it in his pants. I'm sure we'll get that.
Oh, we'll get it. That's a certainty. It's a Marvel project. But I think eventually we might get a scene where he goes in that church and talks to his mom, potentially.
And I was gonna argue that, but nope, that would be quite an easy reshoot to do.
Yeah, I think it's
To insert
possible.
that scene, yeah.
I think it could be, and I don't know if it's gonna happen for the record, but when Daredevil starts popping up in the news again, people might start asking Matt, yo, what's going on with this? Like, I feel like Karen specifically is going to come back in town almost
Yeah.
just because she hears Daredevil's back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do really like that Kingpin is in therapy because, like, with the scene where he goes, I don't want to lose my wife, he is getting more vulnerable. I don't know how vulnerable we're going to see him because it's the Kingpin, but, like, he does actively want to save his relationship with Vanessa, so I think he's cooperating as much as he feels like he has to.
Yeah.
And plus, he is still Kingpin, so it just feels like between Muse and being Kingpin's therapist, that Heather might not be making it out of this show. I don't know that for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know anything about the comics, but, like, she's flying real close to the sun with these villains.
Yeah, she's giving me similar vibes to, and I forget her name, but there was a woman in season 3 that Bullseye was kind of infatuated with, and it did not go well for her.
Her name might have been Julie. I've
Yep, that
seen
was it.
bits and
That
pieces
was
from
it.
the 3rd season.
Yeah,
I didn't
it was
finish.
Julie.
I'm
Oh, she-
worried for Heather. I really am.
Yeah, I think I don't want her to die because I like her and I like the possibilities with her at the moment. But I don't see, especially with, well, I think it'll be interesting. I don't see her sticking with Matt or Matt sticking with her beyond the season when we get the reveal that she's Kingpin's therapist. But equally, I think Matt needs to respect her job, and I think that could be an interesting little point of friction between the two of them. So, no. But again, I want Matt to get back together with Karen. But also, Matt and She-Hulk was a great pairing. Yeah.
I think Matt forever is just going to be kind of not super in a relationship, but still getting down with all these ladies.
yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But I think that they also could, and maybe this is a fool's errand trying to predict the Marvel Easter eggs that could pop up. But considering we got a name drop of an Officer Morales, I think we could also see maybe Heather referencing a colleague of hers, maybe a Doc Samson out there that could pop up. And if you don't know who Doc Samson is, that's the Hulk's therapist.
Yeah,
And
no.
they've been setting up Hulk shit lately, man. There's Hulk shit in the past several MCU things. And for everyone out there who's like, oh man, keep Hulk stuff out of Captain America. Save Hulk stuff for Hulk movies. Guys, I hate to tell you this. All of you out there who are excited for Thunderbolts, Sentry is a Hulk villain. He is. Him and Hulk have such a good connection. It's okay if they have a good story for it.
Yeah.
But I do think that could be a Marvel Easter egg that comes up. We know there's more on the way. I do think Matt tracking down this witness was really interesting to see because, like, first of all, he gets the black... I was about to say Black Panther. That's a different Marvel cat. He gets the White Tiger. He discovers White Tiger's a vigilante, and he essentially gets it where that evidence cannot be used in court because it had nothing to do with what White Tiger was doing when he got arrested. He wasn't in the outfit. He didn't have the magical amulet.
Yeah.
He gets it admissible. He gets it where they can't bring it up. And I think that, like, him finding this guy, the one guy who White Tiger protected, potentially the one witness that could save him, was handled really well because I was like, all right, there's no freaking way Matt can find this dude. He doesn't know what he looks like. He doesn't know the info to give to Sherry. There's no way it's going to happen. Oh, he tails the cop. The cop's trying to kill him. That worked perfectly.
Yep.
And, of course, we get the scene. He gets there before the cops, but only slightly. And he's like, hey, go out the window. I'll handle this. Those cops were just going to kill a blind dude. And a lawyer. And I have questions because ultimately I'm like, okay, if this lawyer turns up dead after after the first parts of the case in court, and then this witness that was at this dude's house also appears dead, shouldn't that be like a red flag? Like, wouldn't that get them in trouble? I don't know. They're cops. Maybe they'll like hide the evidence really well or something. But like, I feel like McDuffie could have won the case if that happens.
Yes. No, well, not easily, but yes, I think so. I think that was very rash of those officers. And I look forward, like, we're saying that we sort of finished this White Tiger arc in episode 3. But we're dealing with all this Punisher police stuff as well in the rest of this season. And I think we're still going to find out more about what was actually happening on that subway station. Subway platform. Because we haven't quite got an answer for that yet. So I think we'll circle back around to that now that I'm assuming it was that cop with a black eye who killed Hector, is my assumption. Again, there's a ton of these cops that are in on this, so not necessarily, but that's the one I hate at the moment, so I'm projecting it onto him.
They gotta kill that dude on screen at some point. Like, they gotta... He's gotta have some sort of comeuppance.
I fully expect Frank to.
I think Frank might not... I do think they're gonna fight each other for some reason, because, oh shit, there's gonna be a manhunt for Frank. Stop confusing your Marvel people.
The audience saw the Punisher skull undershirt.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what CCTV there is in the area that may have caught that. But as of right now, we don't necessarily... Like, it makes sense that that's how we're going to link things to bringing John Bernthal back in.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't yet know how obvious it's going to be that is what happened, as opposed to he just got shot by someone.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like somehow they're gonna blame it on the Punisher, because I wonder why wear that at all if not to cover your ass if you get caught.
But then it's all these cops who clearly admire the Punisher, though.
I mean, that's true, and I think later we'll see more of them like wearing the outfit and like taking up the Punisher moniker once Frank has spoken up. But like, I think I think right now it's a question of okay, will the people know? I think they will, but if they do know, how does Matt clear Frank's name now? Because Frank is still wanted as far as I know, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's just out in the world. He's again, someone to Muse, a bit of a wild card at the moment. I
So
did just have the thought, because I think it's strange that these cops who idolize this guy would intentionally sort of frame him for this.
I think
For
they
killing Hector.
idolize his methods. I don't think they care much about him.
Sure, yeah, yeah, I can see that. Um, but I just had the thought, what if, because like when the cops went to kill the witness, they weren't wearing any Punisher. They had their tattoos, but that was it. They weren't all dressed up for this.
I mean, that's true too. But
So what if? And it's because it's matched up with the scene of Kingpin talking about how justice wasn't served, but it's still gotta be delivered and come through and all that, and stop these vigilantes. This cop killer, from how he's trying to win over the police to his side. What if Kingpin put out a hit on him for got a guy dressed up wearing that?
that
That
could
might start
be
to
it.
complicate it a bit if we have Frank and the police who are copying Frank and this other guy copying Frank. Then I think that makes more sense than.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
Jack, I think you might have stumbled upon it actually.
Yeah?
What if Kingpin hired a dude to kill him, dressed him up as Punisher to frame
Yeah.
Frank, and then they're all like, holy shit, the Punisher took out White Tiger. The Punisher agrees with us, and then they start wearing
Oh.
the skulls.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I
I
think,
mean, like the moment we see one of the skulls on a police car, like,
oh,
ooh, we're really driving this home.
I,
Um,
I
no,
am.
I like that idea because I think that makes more sense than the police kind of like, again, framing Frank for it feels a bit weird, given the current adoration from the seams of things, or for again the concept of the Punisher, if not the man. Yeah, I like talking that idea out because that, again, aside from the slight complication there of there being three factions all kind of wearing the skull, I like it. I like it, and I mean Frank's going to be opposed to anyone else other than him who's wearing that. Um, so from his perspective, it's just going to be quite easy.
I do also wonder because they're setting up some stuff with the criminal underground, and I'm wondering how that's going to explode. Because Kingpin, when talking to Vanessa, he was like, "Just let them kill each other. Just let them fight it out. Just let it end this way." Vanessa's getting involved. She sent Buck to like pay off the tracksuits and try to stop the bickering a bit. And I do really love the line of "Let's not get to the point where I don't trust you."
Yeah, yeah,
was
like
spooky.
that felt a bit like a threat. That's-
I feel like Vanessa saw it as a threat, but I think Kingpin was just being like, we need to trust each
Yeah.
other in this relationship.
No, agreed, agreed. And there's definitely something about these docks in particular, whatever plan we have for those, because they've mentioned the name of them a few times, and we keep having meetings there. So there's something to that spot that's important to the criminals and also to Kingpin, because he was saying to one of his sort of supporter office people about how the hijacking gone wrong there will affect it as like a destination or something. They said. And,
Yeah, like a
okay.
tourist destination or something. I definitely feel
Yeah.
like that's a cover story for something else.
Yeah, my brain goes to everything the Hand was doing under
With
whatever
the
fictional
bones.
name for that one building was. Or we're definitely not doing the same thing. He's not looking for more dragon bones or anything like that. be fucking crazy if he were.
I mean, we've
But,
learned that dragon scales are powerful weapons. Maybe dragon bones
yeah.
are too.
But no, I'm curious. What's going on there that's important to Kingpin on the public-facing, well, relatively public-facing mayoral side, but also the criminal element? I imagine we will get into that. I don't think I've got too many more points on episode 2.
I
I
mean,
think
we've
we have
kind
sort of been
of
just merging that in 3.
yeah, we've kind of been covering it as the White Tiger story. And for the record,
Yeah.
the story of White Tiger is going to continue after this. I think personally, this is probably what's going to drive Matt to become Daredevil again. But I do think we can definitively say, with the croaks of the Koki frog, that White Tiger Hector will probably not be back.
No,
And by the way,
I don't think so.
I didn't notice that those were the frogs at first. I didn't.
Aw.
A lot of people, in hindsight, it's obvious. But
Yeah.
I just heard this, like, croaking, and I was like, what's going on? And my roommate looked horrified, and he was like, those are the frogs, Neil. He got to hear them one last time as his eyes closed, and I was like, no!
Yeah. The fictional character White Tiger, I hope, is in one of the better MCU Afterlife planes.
I think he's at that beach with those Koki frogs. I
Yeah.
think that's where he is.
Yeah.
By the way, I hope I'm saying the name of those frogs right.
I think so. Yeah, more on episode 3. Again, we'll leave it to Legal Eagle, as everyone has been saying, to break down all the failings in court procedure in New York that happens in the episode itself. But for the sake of the dramatics of it and the story and sort of speeding things up and condensing it down, no, I really enjoyed this. More so than some of the court scenes in the previous Daredevil show. This sort of thing. Go check out the videos we did on She-Hulk. This is the stuff I wanted from She-Hulk.
Same.
Hero lawyer defending a vigilante. Again, the go-to example of, can Spider-Man testify in court while wearing his mask? It's like, here's this vigilante, and well, he did this without his magical amulet, and we're trying to. This is the stuff I wanted from She-Hulk.
Yeah, and I have
And now I'm even more disappointed we didn't get it because we're doing it so well here.
And I think that's what I really love about it, because in She-Hulk, there were some, like, oh, that's smart, like, moments. Like, when she's like, oh, we can call this person onto the stand because of this thing. Like, there were smart lawyer tactics in She-Hulk. The problem was, because they were with one-off characters we didn't super care about, they didn't feel the same as this. Like, Matt coming out with, you can't use White Tiger's information. Okay? That's out of the case. And then he reveals it is so shocking and so interesting. But the second he does, you're like, oh fuck, wait. This is drawing out the case. This gives it more time. The case isn't going to end today now. There's a new piece of evidence that they have to discuss. It was such a good move, and I do think in terms of, like, a law drama, it's not only better than anything I saw in She-Hulk, but also, I think it is a little bit better than some of the stuff we saw on the Netflix show.
I absolutely agree.
The one trial I really remember from the Netflix show was Punisher's. And I think that's because of, like, the connection he had with Matt and the dramatic ending where Punisher is allowed to be treated as a hostile, and it does not go well for Matt.
It's like you said, that worked really well because it's not with a one-off character. Which, again, in the She-Hulk show specifically, I really liked the Mr. Immortal thing. That was a one-off character. That wasn't even She-Hulk doing that. That was other people in the law firm. That was the side characters, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, as opposed to like the stuff with the light elf, I'm like, okay, cool. I guess light elves exist in the MCU. That's the only real takeaway from that. And maybe have diplomatic immunity because of Asgard being
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, interesting stuff that they could have gone more into. Here, it was just done really well. I enjoyed the twists in the story. I liked Hawkburn, the DA, the guy that we're against, or the guy from the DA's office. Um,
the Hawk.
his sort of beating that his tactics on the other side were really well done as well. I thought, and I like the both of them in interrogating kind of witnesses they brought forth, both when they were trying to support their guy. So when he's initially talking to the cop from the platform, he's saying he's doing very similar tactics to what Matt was doing for Hector with, oh, and how many commendations have you had? And oh, for honor and bravery and service, and oh yeah, you're a pretty high up officer. But is it common for you to be working New Year's Eve? He's like, oh no, I volunteered. Ah, you volunteered to do this on what would have otherwise been your day off. Oh yeah, you're a great cop. And Matt's, oh
He's
yes,
doing a good job.
because it was the right thing to do. Because it was the right thing to do. And building, they both build their guys up very similarly. Which then means when we get to sort of just after the Hector building up from that, when the DA's office guy saying about, oh, I go to church, I do this, I visit my sick old mother, I do this. But good people can still do bad things. It's like, for one, okay, that is a legitimately good argument to follow up against everything we just did with Hector. But also, you point at the TV and go hypocrite.
Yeah.
This is the exact same shit you were saying about your guy.
What I like about Hawkberg is he's not in Fisk's pocket. He's not working with the cops, as far as we can tell. He's just a guy trying to win this case, and he's doing a great job. But that's so interesting to me because he really doesn't have a stake in this. Like, if White Tiger's guilty, he wins the case, I guess, and maybe he gets paid more or something. But ultimately, he's just there doing his job. And Matt's the one trying to save the day. Like, he's not a villain, he's just doing his job. And I really like that about him, when he's making all of these very convincing arguments.
Yes, which is why, and I did it, and again, you can go watch reaction videos. When you get to the sentencing, I'm on the edge of my seat. When I said, oh, on murder in the first degree, and they do the long pause.
And
Find
we had
not guilty.
we had subtitles on. The subtitles didn't spoil it, and I was so
Good.
I was so
That's it.
scared but excited.
Not guilty. And you're so relieved. And again, you can watch people's reactions. Everyone's so relieved.
You get that breath of air.
Murder in the second degree, and suddenly you're back on the edge of your seat again. Not guilty. And then whatever the third one was, manslaughter. Is like, did he do it really intentionally? Did he do it kind of intentionally? Did he do it as an accident? It's like, did he accidentally kill this guy?
So
It's happened twice now. On the third one, you're not quite as far forward in your chair. But they got me 3 for 3. Yeah,
I do
I
have-
genuinely didn't know how it was going to end. I could have seen the season go on with him in jail. And
I
then,
could have too.
Later in the season, we get him out. I could have seen that happen. I could have seen this going the way of like Isaiah Bradley for a bit, and we have a couple meetings with him while he's in prison.
Honestly, in hindsight, it might have been the better ending to what happened.
He may have lasted a bit longer, but I think once he was outed as White Tiger, if he went out and put on that mask again, it was gonna go this way, whether he was in jail prior to that or not.
And on that stand, you can just tell, yeah, he's putting on that suit again. Especially when he tells Matt, "This is who I am." I do have one critique, and it's a small one. I would call this a nitpick. I feel like if someone was more upset about this, I would understand it. But for me, it's a nitpick, which is we didn't get to see much White Tiger. We got that one shot of him in, like, stopping what looked like a gas station robbery, like on the newscast. But you hear all of these people tell you about like the deeds White Tiger has done. I feel like that probably would have hit harder if we saw a few of those. But also, I I'm kind of gonna backpedal a little bit here though, because I think it's interesting that we never see his deeds, but the second these people get on the stand, oh, here's a situation where White Tiger saved my life. Here's a situation where White Tiger saved me. Oh, hey, cops out there, you guys who are against White Tiger. Here's a scenario where he saved you and you had only good things to say about White Tiger. And there's a couple cops in the audience that are nodding and agree with him. I assume that's where Mr. Morales lies in all this.
Yeah. I mean, they like read out one particular cop statement and then say, "Oh, well, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one." They have like 3 or 4 total. And it's like, oh yeah, Morales was one of the ones that Matt brought with him, so it was certainly one in favor of. And I know, technically, Miles' dad doesn't go by the last name Morales.
So actually, in the comics,
in the Spider-Verse movie.
In the comics, he legally changes it.
That recently. So. Davis, that's it, Davis. So yeah. But no, I like to think that is bloody Aaron Davis, Prowler, Donald Glover's brother that we're talking about here. Just to tie that all together.
Oh, dude, what if in the MCU canon he changed his name because Aaron Davis like made it such a bad name?
Possibly. Last we saw of Aaron Davis, he was just selling stolen goods from the trunk of his car.
But he confirmed he had a nephew.
He confirmed he had a nephew. Post-credit scene confirmed the nephew's name was Miles. Multiverse-wise, we know there's another Donald Glover Prowler.
So, yeah, this courtroom scene, I think you're right, where it's like this is what She-Hulk couldn't really do because... And I think the difference is not just that it was characters that were... Like, White Tiger we've had some time with, we really got to know him, we got invested in that trial. But also, I think in She-Hulk there were stakes. Here it felt like if this guy goes to jail after he accidentally killed a cop, he's gonna... Yeah,
tripped over his own feet.
It had nothing to do with him, really. But if he goes to jail for that, the rest of his existence is hell in that prison. We know. If he doesn't get killed in prison, his life is hell. So, hearing all of these people talk about how much they admire White Tiger, and the thing that gets us on edge again actually is Hawkberg, because after that, he goes to the jury and he's like, when someone gets hit by a train, it's like a bubble. It's like a circus balloon exploding of blood. And guess what? You don't actually die until the train stops. And I'm like, I don't know if that's accurate, Hawkberg, but you're scaring the shit out of me.
If a fragment of your broken skull doesn't go through your brain, I guess so. I guess that makes sense. But
I feel like it would break... I don't want to get too graphic here, folks, but I feel like if you get hit by a train, your neck is gonna break, right? Like, something's gotta happen there.
Yeah.
And for the record, this train was going fast. Like, Hector got fucking sprayed with blood. But, yeah, that innocent verdict, I feel like that was such a good moment and such a breath of air of, yeah, he's okay, he made it. And it just... sets it up so perfectly for when he dies and they take away that win from you. It hurts. It legitimately hurts because he got innocent. He was supposed to keep going. He was supposed to live in that new place he got with his wife, and he was just trying to surprise her. He shouldn't have even been there, but he was a good husband, so he was. Oh, it hurts. But...
yeah.
I think if you're going to kill him off and you're going to do that, it's honestly very subtle and very poetic that just over the credits, you can hear the frogs.
Yeah.
And you can make of that what you want. Did he hear the frogs as he died? I think he did. Yeah.
I think, because it's going to be depressing if we just keep talking about the passing of Hector.
Of course.
But no, I think now, again, going from the end of the trial, between the end of the trial and him suiting up again, great suit by the way. Loved that.
Looked cool.
It didn't feel like one of, is it Luke Jacobs from She-Hulk? It didn't feel like a very well designed sort of custom. It was certainly customized, but it didn't feel incredibly well tailored or anything like that.
It looked very homemade, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah. And I also think it tells you how. Okay, this isn't the point I was going to go on, but we're tangenting to the costume. I think, for one, this guy is a vigilante in New York City, running around dressed completely in white. You got the Batman principle of dressing in black, hiding in the shadows. Now, dressed completely in white, wants to be seen. Also, he's dressed completely in white, and he's not going around killing people, and you can tell that because he's dressed completely in white. The suit isn't covered in splatters of blood or anything. He's keeping it clean. He cares for this. This suit is important to him, and he's not going around being a hyper-violent vigilante like Frank, like Daredevil at times. He's more in the Spider-Man category of things. Again, the one example we see of him fighting someone on screen is that bit on news footage on a TV in the bar of CCTV footage of a fight in a bodega. And it's him just stopping a robbery. I think you can infer a lot about the sort of hero he was from the design of that suit and just the color of it.
I think you're right. I think that's an excellent point, Jack. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. The point I was then going to make before I realized that, and I'm going to say this out loud just to make sure we have it down, is the news coverage of them leaving the courthouse. And Kingpin seeing that, then calling in BB and all that. But who else saw that broadcast of this lawyer defending this vigilante? And I think that's how we're going to bring in Jack or Jacques or swordsman from Hawkeye. He's like, I'm a New York-based vigilante. I need to get in contact with this lawyer to either something's happened and he needs some defense, or he's just going to preemptively be like, I want you to be my lawyer.
That's a good point.
I think Kamala's dad, I think it'd be really sweet if he was just sat on the sofa watching TV, saw this, and it's like, my daughter is a superhero. Just in case she needs some legal representation, let me just drive to New York and speak to this guy and see if he'd be willing to help us, just in case.
I mean,
he's already helped Spider-Man. I don't think that's massively public knowledge. It should be on record at least, because he gave. I don't know if necessarily they went to court, but his interactions with Damage Control, Matt was their lawyer. He doesn't know that that's Peter Parker as such anymore, but he should know that he was Spider-Man's lawyer briefly, I guess.
Here's my guess, jumping off of what you said. Kamala had a lot, the main villain of Kamala's show. Yeah, there was this team from the Nord Dimension that I gotta be honest, I couldn't remember one of their names if you pointed a gun to my head. But the real villain was Damage Control. And Damage Control kind of kept going after Kamala, and it only ended when, that one very douchey member of Damage Control, went down. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Damage Control completely left her alone after that. They just fired that one person. So I wonder if maybe that's why Kamala's dad is here. Hey, could you assist us with getting these people off my daughter's back?
Yeah. I like the idea that Matt can be recognized by vigilantes, and in the case of Kamala, a family of these vigilantes, as someone willing to stick his neck out for them. I do think that is the role that She-Hulk should have filled.
I think so too.
But she can get there. It's fine. The law firm she's working for set up this whole division for that, and they did do a bit of that. So yeah, cool, fine. But I like the idea of people coming to Matt for this. He's no longer the small-time working out of a shop front office Nelson Murdoch and Page guy. Again, miss it. But he still has that same feel to him. Again, with Hector, just listening to the heartbeat, knowing that he's telling the truth, knowing that he's hiding something, and then finds out what it is. But no, I really like the idea of vigilantes coming out of the woodwork seeking help from this guy
I
because
think
they
that could
know
happen.
he helped White Tiger, and White Tiger, in it's not something the show is going to dive into. It's not something the wider MCU is going to dive into. But I love the idea of White Tiger being this symbol of such a pure example of heroism.
I was saying this to Sky. I was like, hey, what if in Spider-Man they bring up the trial of White Tiger? Like, what if that becomes a big deal after this show because it was the first time a vigilante like kind of got that innocent verdict, and then maybe a cop killed him. Like, we don't know for sure if it was a cop, but it might have been. And we know that part of the show is going to deal with cops taking justice a little too far. We definitely know that Punisher is going to play around with that and his plot point. So I really think you might be onto something. I think it's going to end up being a situation where Hector's gone. No one's going to forget what happened here. Like, everyone's going to be talking about the White Tiger tragedy that happened in the MCU.
I think that would be really cool if he'd had the chance to have worked with some other vigilantes and stuff in New York. Again, New York is
Oh,
so.
that'd be sick.
If you're a criminal in New York, you're a fucking idiot. There are so many superheroes.
I mean, to be fair, there's also a lot of supervillains, so you find the right supervillain, you might have a good career for a bit. Kingpin's been nice to his workers, besides when he turns on the other crime families.
But no, I think to what you were saying earlier as well about wishing we'd got to see more White Tiger. I unfortunately that I do think that is the point that we wish we did, and it's such a shame that we don't, and we feel like that was cut short, and it quite literally was. He was running up the stairs, either to actually go help someone, or it was a setup. Probably a setup because that guy was just waiting for him at the top of the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
He came running up the stairs to do something heroic, and it was just cut so short.
And I do think, I do agree that that was kind of the point. It still hurts. Because, they left us wanting more and then said, no, you can't have it. You can't have more. But maybe just maybe, we can hear more about Hector's life and his imprint on Ava when she becomes the next White Tiger. And they have set that up, so I do think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the ways you can sort of pay your respects going forward are with Ava taking up the mantle. I think another one that could be quite nice, quite interesting, again, with this idea that BB will... I mean, she's not on... Well...
She's not really on Team Fisk.
If you draw a line, BB is on Fisk's side.
Yeah.
Because she is. She's helping him, but she's not endorsing him.
She's had more contact with
She's
Fisk.
helping get his word out there. But I think having her shift away from that, I think it could be really sweet if there's like a BB report segment at the end, or just that she is in contact with the Ayala family and is like gonna tell his story. That would melt my soul.
Here's what I have to say about that. I think episode 4, we're gonna hear when we get the BB report, we're gonna hear a lot of people talking about how do they feel about White Tiger. I think there's going to be a lot of people that feel bad, but then maybe one of the last ones will be like, he's wearing a mask, he deserved it. And that's going to springboard us into this big anti-vigilante thing that Fisk is pushing for. Because I think we're going to see more of that soon, too. Speaking of which, we've now kind of covered the 2 episodes, so now let's just cover any additional details we want to talk about, anything we want to focus on with the style of the show, because I will say, there's a lot of stylistic stuff in this show that I just love. I adore it. But this is also a time for theories as we're wrapping up here. I think this is my prediction. So we've just had this little kind of White Tiger arc that set up all this stuff with Punisher. I think the next episode, and this might piss some people off, but this is how I feel. We have to try and predict Marvel. It is a corporation. I think the next episode will be Punisher's only episode, but he will appear in a lot of it. And it will be the big Punisher cameo episode. And then, the reason they're releasing the next 2 episodes at the same time, if that's true, that's what I heard, I think that will be the Muse arc.
Hmm.
So here's where this big theory ends. We have the first episode, which sets everything up, the White Tiger arc, potentially the Punisher arc, potentially the Muse arc. That still leaves a solid 3 episodes left. What would those cover? My theory is that's going to be Kingpin versus Daredevil. And we're going to have 3 episodes of those two dudes just going at each other because they've said it in interviews, they've said it in behind the scenes. Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox have said it themselves. The main characters of this show are Daredevil and Wilson Fisk. And while I feel like we've gotten a lot of Wilson Fisk so far, we haven't gotten a lot of Kingpin. We haven't gotten a lot of brutal ass Kingpin stuff. We got a little with him using ransom against that one dude. He like discovered he had like an affair and like an illegitimate child, so he used that to keep the commissioner working. So we're getting a little bit of Kingpin, but I need to see that horrible ass scene, dude, and it needs to be Kingpin who does it.
Yeah. I do also think, like, just alluding to, things getting very violent and gory. Looking forward to that with Muse. It's similar to the Hector thing, and perhaps, I'm tempted. I may do like some videos on sort of reflectively, sort of video essay type things on this season as a whole once we finish it. I was just saying about this costume that's white and pristine and clean, and Muse in, dungarees over a white outfit that is streaked with blood and mess and muck and other human fluids, probably. Let me draw some parallels there. They may not all be intentional, but let's have that. Why is Muse doing this? He's an art-themed kind of artist villain here. Is it just like I mentioned Black Mirror earlier, so it's on the mind? Is it like that first episode of Black Mirror where it's like, I'm making this just for the sake of it being art? It's just like expression and commenting on the world here? Or is there something more to it? Again, with him seeking out help from Heather, seeking therapy. What's motivating that beyond self-expression, I guess? I'm very interested to see what they do with that, because my expectation from, again, the initial trailers was that Muse was going to be like the antagonist of the season, and we'd have Fisk is in this position of power, but he's not the final boss of this season necessarily. Again, we're getting a season 2. I kind of hope Fisk stays the mayor of New York for a while, as opposed to the example in my head is the fucking revolving door of U.S. presidents in the MCU at the moment.
Yeah, we don't even know who the president is now. It's just whoever was Thaddeus Ross's vice president.
Yeah.
Whoever that is, he's president, I guess.
Yeah. Like, again, just YouTube thumbnails for videos I haven't watched yet. I wouldn't be opposed to Fisk progressing politically just as a character in the MCU as a whole, and eventually being the new president come the next election cycle. I'd be on board with that. It might feel a little rushed, but that'd be kind of cool and a bit scary. I don't think he'd get that far. I feel like Matt, again, as soon as he's doing something shady that Matt knows about, his political career is done. But having, I want Kingpin to be an Emperor Bellows from the Owl House. I want him to be this antagonist in this position of power who may not necessarily be the villain that we are actively dealing with. But I like this idea of there being that person that we sort of need to stay kind of under the radar of. We can kind of flip him the bird from time to time. Who's actively working against us, again, trying to stop all this vigilante stuff in New York. But I don't want Fisk to end this season going to jail like he did season 1, like he did season 3. Let's keep him out there, let's keep him doing things, let's have him pop up in a Hawaiian shirt again, on vacation in Hawkeye season 2. Let's have him show up in Spider-Man 4. Let's keep him around, and I like him as mayor. I feel like it's more interesting and perhaps in the long term will be more satisfying for him to stay there a while.
I agree. And here's my feelings about him running for president. I want him to run for president, and I don't want him to get it. My hope is, I think, in this show, we didn't see much of him running for mayor. We didn't see much of that. We've just seen he's mayor now, and here's the people's reaction. Do this again, but if he goes for president, show him running. Show the people conflicted about it. Show how some of the superheroes feel about that. I specifically want to know how somebody like Kate Bishop would feel, considering she fought him recently. Like,
That could be a cool Young Avengers storyline there. There you go.
I don't think this...
Again, I don't think I want him... I also don't want him to be president. I don't think there's a ton you can do there. Historically, I know like Norman Osborn was president at one point.
Loki
there is
was
president for this sort of thing. But I like him with his love for this city, for New York. To sort of stay there in this position of power. Again, he evidently has some plan once the criminal side of things have all fought each other, once the rats have all clawed away at each other for setting up something new, infrastructure-wise there. Yeah, I want to know his long-term goals, which, again, he isn't exactly sharing with Vanessa yet either. But I want him to stick around. I want to see more Kingpin going forward. I want to see a lot more.
And I really look forward to, and you have to build up to it. You can't do it in season 1 after he becomes mayor. I want to see his castle fall. I want to see his power topple. And I want to see how desperate and how deranged Kingpin is when he's truly lost all the power he had and he can't go back to the criminal underground because he let it destroy itself.
Yeah, what? Doctor Who, a good man goes to war. My friend, you have never risen higher. It's just because he has so much further to fall. He's never had more to lose, necessarily power-wise, you know.
And it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before some superhero goes, Kingpin, you're Kingpin, and stops him.
Yeah, the moment there's something that someone can prove. Which is why I like all the stuff because they had to say it in episode 1. They had to establish how is this guy with this history gonna be able to attain this office? Oh, Vanessa's been working the entire time he's been away, and has sort of cleaned everything. There's none of his fingerprints on anything anymore. There's nothing that can be directly traced to him.
Are there any final thoughts we should bring up before we start to wind down?
I've got a few curiosities. I remember it being kind of a big deal and really cool in the Netflix show that Charlie Cox, they had like contacts made of his eyes so that he could wear them and genuinely be blind for some sequences so that his eyes would never drift and like sort of look at anything else when he's sort of shown more closely.
Oh, that's smart.
That he can legitimately be blind. So like he learned to make a sandwich blind so they could do that shot in season 1, I think. I like that he's and he's said it before between this show and other projects that at times he really struggles to make eye contact and like look at his co-stars because he just got used to staring off into space. But I like in this, like when he's cooking for Heather, he's learned all these skills. He's spoken to other blind people and sort of learned how to act it well. When he goes to pour something, he feels where the rim of the glass is. When he's cooking, he's very tactile and checking a lot of these things, which I like. And like when he's cooking in episode 2, before he turns on the TV, hey, he's working in complete darkness. He doesn't care about the blaring neon sign. I'm glad that they've carried. He's got a much nicer, a smaller, but I feel nicer apartment now. These same things of just working in darkness, the crazy lights outside, don't bother him, because he probably hears the hum of the neon, but he doesn't really know that they're there.
And something I brought this up a little bit earlier, but I love how they're focusing, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's because it's been a while since I've seen the Netflix show, but I feel like they're showing his powers more. Like, they have these zoom in dolly shots when we're focusing on his hearing. And I think a nice little detail about this, something I picked up on, is since they're showing off his powers a lot, they're probably also focusing on showing the limits of his powers a bit. And one of those limits I picked up on was I don't think Matt knows about those Punisher tattoos because he just can't see them.
Nope.
Like,
He has no idea.
yeah, so that is a limit of Daredevil's, and I like that the show has kind of showed that because I think Punisher is going to come in and be like, they have tattoos of me on their neck, and then Matt's going to be like, what? They do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, Matt can't... Redundant to say, he can't see any of this. He can't. He won't be able to see CCTV footage of whoever this person is, if there is any footage of this guy walking away having shot Hector. Perhaps that's how you can work around that. Oh, someone else is relaying that to him. Someone who hasn't met Frank. That was the Punisher.
And then he knows it's not Punisher.
Even if the face doesn't match, but yeah, Frank Castle's trial was pretty well covered at the time. So yeah,
that big skull is recognizable after Punisher. I think. I think people know that skull.
Yeah. Even if, again, like if Matt could see, he could look and go, "Oh no, this isn't Frank. This isn't the guy that I've spent several nights with, not in a friendly way." But no, I do like that they play with that limitation, and it's similar to the Fisk couple counseling stuff. It's something we, the audience, get to know that Matt doesn't. But again, I'm sure he will learn. I'm sure we will get to. Similar to Muse being an antagonist this season. It's paintings. It's very visual based what he's doing, and Matt has no idea. Matt could have walked past a mural of Daredevil and just not know. Like, there's the Kingpin one, there's the one of the Punisher skull.
You know what's interesting?
I want to see more of Muse's pieces. But I like that idea of ink and paint and artwork that Matt just can't see, can't appreciate, and may miss things because of.
I know that he has the world on fire, but and if they do show his visual world on fire in this context, it'll be really fucked up and probably kind of scary. But my question is, how is Matt going to react when he sees Muse's other art? Because, here's the thing. He can't see, and I don't want to get too spoilery, but there might be a smell component to this other art.
Sure, yeah. That could be a point as well. If
That's all I'll say about it.
When he is faced with a piece or a painting or something, like even something on a wall, you might be able to pick up on smells, perhaps. That could be a bit of a lead.
I think it'll be a moment of terror.
You're alluding to something a lot more that I don't know and I don't want to tap on too much.
I won't.
But I look forward to where my mind is racing to.
Let's just say Muse is fucked up. He's a fucked up guy.
Let's have a... There we go. Marvel, can we cancel this show and just give us a Muse horror movie, please?
I think that would actually be awesome.
Halloween, come on, you gave us one Halloween special. Let's have more.
Okay, this is another tangent, but you brought up DC earlier, so I'm going to allow it just for a second. Did you hear that Trench movie that was going to come out was actually going to be a secret Black Manta movie?
Oh, the Gore?
By James Wong.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was called The Trench. It was going to be about those fucked up creatures from...
Oh, no, okay, I'm thinking
Aquaman.
of the movie. Yeah, no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was going to be a Black Manta secret film, and it was going to be about him getting the trident that he has in Aquaman 2. And it disappoints me that didn't happen, because the idea of a Black Manta-themed horror movie is awesome.
Yeah. I do look forward to what DC's already started doing with Creature Commandos, and what Marvel has done a little bit of with the sort of Hawkeye being like a Christmas show and very Christmassy vibes versus the Werewolf by Night, black and white sort of movie. It's like dip into more genres, dip into more styles like that.
And hey, look,
Again, DC, I'm very looking forward to this Clayface movie that we're gonna get, apparently. I'm looking forward to the, like, Green Lantern Police TV show. There's a lot of fun things that they're cooking up over there. Uh,
it's a strange way of tackling the DC universe, but also I'm like, go on.
yeah.
Let me see where this goes.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
as for the Marvel Universe and this show in particular, I'm looking forward to episode 4 this week, and then, yeah, possibly a double drop the following.
I'm very excited to see Frank come into this because, like, in a lot of ways, this does feel like a more mature MCU, but still the MCU. And now Punisher is here, and it's almost like appearing in the show now legitimizes any Netflix character that has ever popped up. The second they're in this show, they're canon and they're in the MCU now, and I adore that.
Yeah, they're debatably canon at the moment, where you could infer, well, again, Luke Cage's bar, and this was mentioned, and this was mentioned. And just the presence of these characters we already have means did have those previous adventures happened. But at the moment, any familiar face from the wider Netflix series pop up. That just,
They're canon now.
like, as far as I'm concerned, if Kirsten Ritter does pop up, that is Luke Cage and Jessica Jones both, like, ticked off.
I'm just gonna say this: if Matt references Jessica Jones directly, I'm gonna say that's enough. Like, as long as we get a name drop, I feel like okay, they can show up literally whenever. Future season, future episode, they can show up now.
I mean, my hope against hope, and I was a little worried for Cherry, and I thought this could be a really cool direction to go. Cherry is kind of Matt's PI contact guy. Well,
He's
go
cool.
find this out. Keep tabs on this.
I like
Do
him.
this. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Knows
That
he's
scene where
Daredevil.
he was pulled over by the cop and checking the back of the van, and I was a bit worried for him. If Cherry were to die, or just not be willing to get his hands as dirty as Matt may necessarily need him to, there's always Jessica Jones.
I mean, that's true too. That's a good point.
Matt can't see this stuff and has not a friend's a bit charitable, but an acquaintance who is very famously often pictured with things.
A super person I have history with that could help me here. That's what she is to him.
Yeah. It's like that moment in Iron Fist when he says, "Oh, I need a lawyer," and you go, "Man, oh no, okay, it's Hogarth. Okay, oh, cool, but yeah." Don't undercut us. Give us those sort of moments. I think that'd be really cool. But that is a lot of wishful thinking for a show that, again, originally didn't even have Karen and Foggy in it. So we'll wait for season 2 to give us a lot more of those confirmations, I think. For the time being, I'm enjoying this show plenty and don't need it to rely on those connections. I am glad Punisher's gonna show up. Can you imagine how fucking crazy it would have been in episode 2 if we hadn't seen John Bernthal in the trailer?
I
And
agree.
just there's a cop with a Punisher tattoo? Holy shit.
I do agree, but also it leaked forever ago that he was going to be in this show.
So they were both on set together, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine. Again, I don't mind. I'm here for it. I'm enjoying everything I've seen so far. My biggest critique of this show at the moment is you can tell some of the bits where there were reshoots, and at times we'll see more of it as the show goes on. The CG really stood out to me for Daredevil in that opening fight scene. In the trailer, there are bits where he looks a bit floaty in the costume. I don't know what exactly it is that kind of throws me at the moment, but I'm a little hesitant of that. But they make practical suits. We know he's got a bunch to choose from, I guess, or will have by the end of the season. I'm here for it. I enjoy Charlie Cox in this performance so much that I don't mind him looking like he's made of rubber occasionally.
Yeah. Look, on one hand, you gotta deal with CGI Daredevil, and I understand the frustration there. On the other hand, he's bouncing around and swinging off roofs. We didn't get
Yeah.
that in Netflix.
No. And they don't have as big a budget as Spider-Man No Way Home did for that, you know? They just factually... If I'm wrong, I'll be surprised. But they factually, I'm saying, did not have that same budget, that same amount
Oh,
of money,
for
that
sure.
same amount of time. That
Absolutely.
same sheer rendering farm to use, I'm sure.
Despite how similar they are, Daredevil is not Spider-Man, unfortunately.
No.
So he will never get a budget like that.
No. But
Unless
I
the
am
show does
hopeful to see
gangbusters.
him on Battle World in Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Here's my real hope, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we can go into plugs. I hope that this show does great, because I think if it does wonderful, they're going to look at these like Netflix characters and maybe the Disney Plus shows in general, and they're going to be like, oh, these guys are super successful, specifically Daredevil. Maybe we should give him more reverence, especially because there's been a couple behind the scenes things where people are kind of implying that Kingpin is now the street level big bad of the MCU. Like he's essentially taking a Thanos position for the street level people. And I think that is a perfect place to put him in, but if you're going to give him that reverence, you have to give Daredevil some too. You have to pay tribute to these characters, which is why that rumor of like a Spider-Man where he's teaming up with Daredevil and all of the Netflix characters and other street level heroes come in, that was such an interesting place to take Spider-Man 4. If that's not what we end up doing, do something else, but kind of get to that point where every street level hero has a problem with Kingpin and Daredevil is at the center of it. Especially because, as you brought up, Jack, Matt Murdock has just very publicly taken the side of a vigilante. That's going to reach the ears of other superheroes and other super people. This feels like a good way to tie everything together, and I really hope they don't throw that potential away just because this is a Disney Plus show and some people might not have seen it.
Yeah. My mind is just racing with other possibilities now of other vigilantes reaching out, or like, wouldn't it be cool if, Matt gets an invite to Harlem's Paradise from Luke to like sit down and chat. What if, at the end of the season Matt and Heather are still together, going on a night out to sort of celebrate whatever next legal victory, and they go to, again, it's a bit out of the way, as in Harlem as opposed to Hell's Kitchen, but the Harlem's Paradise. Luke's just over there. Come on, just canonize him, please.
Look, if shit really goes wrong, Matt, fucking Luke Cage is bulletproof. Go get him. He
It
would
did
be
seem
helpful.
like Luke maybe going for a bit of a darker turn last we saw, taking over the club and everything, but no, but still, come on.
I would just
Yeah.
love to see Luke. Of the Defenders, Luke is probably my favorite, so I would love to see
Yeah. I think, again, with Luke and Jessica, like, if you only show one of them, I feel like that strongly implies the other one, so I'm happy with either. I think Matt's my favorite of the Defenders, I think. Of the rest, I think Luke, Luke and Jessica are pretty tied for me, I think.
I
Although one got
love
3 seasons and one got 2, so,
I love Daredevil, but like if we could get a Heroes for Hire show, I would be in.
Oh yeah.
But let's go straight into
Let me hear
plugs.
him say "Sweet Christmas" one more time,
Please. Let him kill Kingpin. Let him be the one to kill Kingpin, and then end it with a sweet Christmas. And then he can invite.
He sees some of Muse's art and "Sweet Christmas."
Here's how you do it. He kills Kingpin, beats him to death, looks at Jessica Jones. Sweet Christmas. You want to get some coffee? That's the end. And with that, let's go straight into Plex. You first,
Hello everyone
asshole.
out there on the internet. I have been Jack of all trades. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can go check out some of my own over on my channel. At the moment, I'm busy reacting to The Legends of Vox Machina Season 3, the Critical Role animated series. It's been a lot of fun. They've changed it up a lot from the actual play.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is great. It's keeping me on my toes, just in terms of which main cast members are in the show at this point, keeping
Oh, yeah.
it vague, which is great. Loving it. Very much looking forward to the confirmed season 4, which is realistically going to come out after the start of their Campaign 2 animated show, and the possible season 5 of Vox Machina. I'm glad there's so much to come. I think it's just recently been the 10th anniversary of Critical Role in terms of like live streaming.
They have a lot of
Congrats to
plans for
them.
that.
Congrats to them. They don't need my endorsement, but you know who does? Me. Go watch my stuff, which is reacting to their stuff.
And even though...
But yeah, and intending to, we'll see how my timeline for things works out in my own life. And I want to do a couple Daredevil breakdown videos myself. So
I think you should.
hop over to the channel and check those out if and when.
And, you know, Vox Machina might not need the advertisement, but let me tell you, Jack deserves it. His Arcane series was great, and I've seen... I think I saw the first episode of season 3 you did. I look forward to watching the rest, because Jack's reactions are always great, and then he talks about, like, the show. They're great videos. Please check them out. But enough about talking about these great videos. You know what you're here for, my bullshit. But we are playing a game which was actually recommended by Christy, friend of the channel and dear friend of mine, called Wander Song. I knew nothing about it beforehand, but it is one of the sweetest little games I have ever played in my life. It's also one of the most existential games I've ever played in my life, which, if you know anything about me, I'm loving the game. It's so good. We also are getting back into Minecraft in kind of a hardcore way. Minecraft's been streamed pretty damn regularly for the past couple of weeks, and after we finish Wander Song, we're going to do Mega Man Battle Network, which is a favorite of Sky's. So if you have any interest in any of those games, or just two idiots making jokes while they play games, check us out. Game Grumps are better, but hey, you might have a few laughs. So yeah.
I'll take a turn to, again, recommend one of Neil's older videos. We're already on his channel, so it's not far to click over to. But I had a great time with your Little Nightmares 2 playthrough.
That Twinkie dude still scares me. And the snake lady, oh my god. There is a time
If you
code.
want to know what that meant, go check it out.
There is a time code in the Little Nightmares 2 comments. If you just want to see my reaction to the snake lady. God, did I hate it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hey, hopefully we'll do another one of these real soon. And just a heads up, listen, Adam, if you're watching this, flee the country. Get out. Fisk is gonna get you. I know he made a promise. I know he agreed to Vanessa. He wouldn't go for it. You just fucked the man's wife. Get out of town. Get off planet. Go to, like, nowhere. Find nowhere. Go there. And thank you for watching, Adam. Goodbye.